Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Patron Q&A video, question and answer session. This is something I haven't done in quite some time now. I think it's been probably a year now since my last Q&A session. Participation was low on the previous ones. It was really hard getting topics to talk about, so I just kind of stopped doing them. But since it's been so long, I've had some free time these last couple of weeks as well. I thought, hey, you know, let's try it again, and if we can get some topics and questions and stuff like that, we'll throw together a video. So for those of you guys that are new to this sort of thing, this is something that channel backers and Patreon backers can participate in. Basically, it's one of the perks of being a Patreon or a YouTube channel member backer. So basically, you guys can submit topics to talk about, and I'll feature them in these videos, and I will talk about them, and so on and so forth. So this is a podcast style video, so this is not something you need to be glued to the screen. If you want to pop it up on your TV and then go clean your house or your apartment or whatever, that works perfectly fine. This is the perfect type of video for that. So thanks to everybody that did submit questions. I did get some interesting ones, and I did chop out some ones I felt that would be kind of redundant, but I do appreciate you guys submitting them either way, because without you guys actually participating, I wouldn't be here doing this video right now. So but yeah, with that, if you guys have any responses to these questions yourself, if you have any personal stories you'd like to tell, feel free to drop a comment down below. And with that, let's go ahead and kick this off. So at the top of our list is Signal RF, who I believe is a YouTube channel member, and he asks, is there one game you go back to the most throughout the years? And so for me, for those of you guys that know me, that have been watching for a while, you know that I'm not like a one game or one topic or one passion kind of person. I have, you know, when it comes to favorites or particular games, I have lots of them because I've played so many games over the years. I've played thousands of games over the years, so it's very difficult for me to pick just one that I always go back to throughout the years. So for me, it's many games I go back to throughout the years. So many games that I've covered on this channel. If you go back through my video history, you'll see some repeats here and there, and you know, those are some of the games that I go back to the most. So obviously Doom is at the very top of my list. Radiant Silvergun, which is a shmup. The classic Raiden arcade game, the first one in particular. Anything Castlevania, anything Mega Man, well, not necessarily anything, but the old school ones in particular, NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, things like that. Classic NES Ninja Gaiden, all three of them. Lots of NES games in particular the Super Mario Brothers games. I love the classics, and yeah, there are just so many games over the years. Quake, Painkiller, there's so much stuff. I was actually started up a brand new game, Secret of Mana, on Super Nintendo just the other day. I probably go through that, or at least play that for a little bit once every few years. It's so many, almost too many to name, but definitely stuff like Doom, some of the early Mega Man games, early Castlevania games, Ninja Gaiden, Quake, you know, stuff like that are some of the games I go back to the most, or have gone back to the most over the years. So this is more, actually, you know, funny enough, this is this carries right into a Doom-related question from Crestlineiceberg. And Crestline asks, through all the Doom mods that you've played, what is your favorite all-time map for both? And this includes official Doom mods as well as fan-made mods. He asks me to list one for each. And kind of like with Signal RF, I don't really have a specific favorite, Crestline. You know me. I can name one, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot because I like a lot of them. But I will say, when it comes to classic Doom, I would say the final level for episode 2 is a very memorable one, where you fight the Cyber Demon. I think it's Tower of Babel or something like that. That one always sticks out to me. And then when it comes to fan-made WODs, I mean, I'm gonna have to go with something from like Sunlust or Sunder. Sunder, Map 6 or Map 7 in particular are very good, challenging maps, but ones that are still fairly doable for me, and I like, you know, the music and the level architecture and stuff like that. Sunlast has a bunch of maps like that too. I really enjoy. So, but yeah, I hope that answers your question there. Crestline also asks, I know you are an avid Castlevania player, and he wants to know what my favorite non-Nintendo Castlevania game is. And he says non-Nintendo because most of the early Castlevania games were on Nintendo platforms. Yeah, there was an MSX game, then there was an arcade game, but there were 3 NES games, there were multiple Game Boy games, and even the first one on Super Nintendo before it really started hitting other consoles. So what is my favorite non-Nintendo platform Castlevania game? I think I'd pretty much have to go with Castlevania Dracula X, or I should say Dracula X Rondo of Blood, which was on the PC Engine Duo. I mean, I think I'm gonna have to default to that. So my favorite Castlevania games are Castlevania 1, Castlevania 3, Super Castlevania 4. Those are easily at the top of my list. And then I'd probably have to put Rondo behind those. I love Rondo. I mean, some people are gonna be like, why don't you like Rondo the most? It's the most well-made. It's a long story and it's complicated, as a lot of people's, you know, subjective opinions are. But those are the ones I play the most, and thus they're my favorites, and, you know, the ones I prefer to go to the most. But Rondo is just an amazingly, you know, well-made game, and yeah, I'd probably say that's my favorite. I also love Castlevania Bloodlines, but I do find that Rondo has more replay value. It's got more going on. There's a lot more attention. Well, I mean, Bloodlines has a lot of attention to detail as well, but Rondo of Blood has lots of branching pathways and stuff like that, and lots of little interesting alternate pathways that you just don't really get in Bloodlines. But Bloodlines will be up there too, as well as one of my favorite non-Nintendo Castlevania games. Alright, so Andy Author 2007, he's actually got a lot of questions relating to cheating. I know he's brought this topic up before in live streams, and I know I've seen this featured on other channels that you know, well, I've seen out there on the interwebs. So for me, well, let's go through Andy's questions. First off, he says, do you consider using a Game Genie / Game Shark cheating? He also asks, do you consider using a turbo controller or auto fire cheating? Do you consider using a built-in code, i.e. the Konami code, or codes in general, to be cheating? Do you consider credit feeding to be cheating? Now that's a lot of questions right there, all related to whether things are considered cheating or not. First off, let me preface this by saying that if you're just playing a game casually, I think you should play the game, you know, the way it's the most enjoyable to you. You know, if you struggle with something like Contra and you don't find it to be fun with just 3 lives, feel free to use the Konami code, which is technically a cheat code. If you have fun, then that's what counts, right? It doesn't matter whether someone considers it cheating or not when you're just kind of casually playing on your own time. Do you consider credit feeding to be cheating? And for those of you guys that don't know, credit feeding stems from, you know, arcade games where when you get a game over, you pop in another quarter and you just hit start to continue, and you just continue on where you left off. And basically, what that means is the guy with the most money, or anyone with as much money to get through the game, can beat the game. It's just a gimme. You just keep popping in more money, you keep hitting start. Is that cheating? Well, I mean, it's a part of the game. They let you do that. Is it satisfying though? I don't know. That's a topic for another day. Do you consider using Game Genie or Game Shark cheating? I mean, they are technically cheat devices. I mean, it might even be in their names somewhere on the box or whatever, but it's all relative. Like, if it makes you have more fun with the game, like making Super Mario invincible or having him jump off the top of the screen, which is you can't do normally, you know, is it fun? Do you like it? I used to know a guy growing up where he would only play with Game Shark or Game Genie. He would not play any game regularly because he enjoyed playing the games so much more with those devices. Was it cheating? I mean, relative to what? I mean, he was having fun. It wasn't hurting me. Whatever. Do you consider using a turbo controller or auto firing as cheating? Again, it's all relative. You know, what are we talking about? Is it some guy just having fun in his basement, you know, trying to play a button mashing heavy game like a classic Mega Man or something? You know, is he having more fun? Is it cheating? I don't know. Now, there are definitely scenarios where it is absolutely cheating. For instance, like a high scoring competition. Generally, in things like these, there will be a list of rules that you have to abide by. And as a player or participant of said competition, you should be abiding by these things. And if you don't, it will be known. You'll probably be booted from the competition. So in the case of something like, you know, an arcade game or shmups high score competition using the Game Genie or Game Shark is cheating, unless it says otherwise in the competition guidelines. Is using a turbo controller or auto fire cheating? Well, it depends. In the case of arcade games in particular, a lot of arcade games really wreck your hands, and it's very difficult to mash consistently and well. And so in the case of shmups in particular, a lot of competitions will say auto fire is allowed. You are able to do auto fire. So while it might not be the default setting in the game, as long as it's allowed in the competition and everyone is allowed the same level playing field, it's not considered cheating in that instance. Using a code built into the game, probably not going to be allowed in a competition unless the competition wants to mix things up. I remember playing Raiden for the Atari Age Jaguar High Score Club, and you know, generally we would play on 2 credits. You know, you use 1 credit to start, and then you get 1 continue, then that's it. But now this isn't really a cheat code, but we could use the 8 credit mode, and you know, that would take a lot longer and probably not be as much fun to compete in, but you know, the option was there. And you could kind of apply that sort of option in any competitive game if it has cheat codes. Like, you know, maybe run a Contra NES high score competition and everyone has to use the Konami code. Everyone gets 30 lives. Would that be considered cheating? You know, relative to that competition? No, because it's allowed in the rules. Credit feeding, you know, again, when it comes to competition, you know, you'd have to look at the rules for that. Now, there is kind of another layer of nuance to this whole topic. Is when I hear people come to me and tell me about gaming accomplishments, I am curious to know what settings they used, how many lives they were given. Did they, you know, did they crank up the life count in like Fire Shark on Genesis to 7 or whatever it allows? That's just a hypothetical example. I don't even remember if Fire Shark allows you to bump that stuff up. It does allow you to bump it up to a higher difficulty. But some shooters will default you to 3 lives, but they'll give you the option to do 5 or 7. If I'm talking to 2 people that have beaten the same game, I'm going to be more impressed by the guy's accomplishment that did it on, you know, the 3 life setting as opposed to the 7 life setting. Or I'm going to be more impressed by the guy that got a 1 credit clear as opposed to having to continue several times, especially if the continue just drops you right back into the gameplay. Will I consider it cheating? Probably not cheating, because again, cheating, what does that mean? It's got to be, there's got to be the proper context given, you know, and but I will definitely be impressed with some accomplishments more than others, depending on things like, did they use a turbo controller, you know, as a crutch? Did they use the Konami code on Contra, or Life Force, or whatever? You know, I'm gonna say, as long as you had fun playing the game, but it's not gonna impress me personally. Will I say it's cheating? I don't know. I don't really feel like I would have the need to. I won't be impressed. And I think that person would probably get the point. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on Andy's topic of cheating. So Adam Pearson, who also goes by Saikazu STG on other places of the internet, like Twitch, he was asking what my thoughts are on the right to repair. He says it would be a cool thing to bring up in passing, even if I didn't have any strong opinions about it, because he feels like there should be more eyes on it. And so I haven't looked into right to repair for quite some time now, a few years. I'm not really a good one to explain what it's all about, but basically, I think the short of it is there are companies out there that do not want independent repair people or retailers fixing their products. I think Apple was a big one. There's a guy on the internet, most of you guys probably know about him already, but Louis Rossmann, he's a huge voice on the right to repair movement. I recommend looking up his channel if you're interested in finding more about this stuff. But basically, his stance is like, you own the hardware that you pay for, and you should have the right to fix it and not be forced to take it to an authorized dealer that's gonna charge you an arm and a leg, especially when it's like a $2 part that's all that's needed to fix your problem. But they'll charge you, they'll just charge you out the wazoo, you know. And it's just it's not a good situation in my eyes. I think you should 100% have the right to repair your product, have choice on who you take it to, have the ability or choice to do it yourself if you want. I grew up in an era where everyone could fix their own car, you know, if they were experienced enough and had enough knowledge. But with a lot of these modern devices, they're designed in a way where it's extremely difficult to actually do that. And then you're forced to take it to an authorized dealer that's, again, going to charge you out the wazoo. Is that a good experience? Is that, you know, consumer friendly? I don't believe so. I'm sure I would have a whole lot more to say on this, but I'm of the mindset that, like, if you pay for a piece of hardware, you own it and you can do whatever you want with it. But some of these companies even have it in their end user license agreements that despite this $400 game console you bought, you're not allowed to do this or that or that or that or this or that with it, including fixing it. So it's an interesting topic, and one that honestly I get kind of depressed to think about. But ultimately, you should have full control over the hardware that you buy. It's one thing when you're buying a piece of digital software, you know, that's more like a license. But if I have a piece of hardware in my possession that I can pick up with my hands, yeah, I don't care what the EULA says. It's mine, and I'm going to do what I want with it. As simple as that. So, we have some interesting topics at the end that might get, I don't know, maybe not necessarily deep, but maybe not 100% gaming related. But before we head into that direction, Megasus asks, and for those of you guys that have seen Meg out in chat, you probably already know where this conversation piece is going to go. And she has a topic: why Ocarina of Time will always be better than Breath of the Wild. Which, for those of you guys that don't know, and I'm pretty sure all of you do, but these are Zelda games. I can't actually really talk too much about this topic, to be honest with you. And I know she's just being tongue-in-cheek and funny, but I have barely played Ocarina of Time, and I know that's going to be sacrilegious to a lot of people out there. I played it a teensy tiny bit back in the day. Wasn't too terribly interested in it. I did watch my brother play it a lot, though. It was one of his favorite Nintendo 64 games, so it's like I did have sort of secondhand experience with it quite a bit. And, you know, I did try to revisit the game, and it was around 2010, 2011, something like that. My brother actually came over and kind of like guided me through the first few hours of the game. Taught me like a lot of really cool little things about it, and you know, I started to appreciate it, and I started to continue to play it on my own time. I think I put about 6 hours into it, and I stopped playing one day for some reason. I think it's just because I had so many other games to play and so many other things going on in my life that I just forgot to go back to it. And here we are, 2021, 10 years later at least, and I still haven't gone back to it. So that said, the reason I'm bringing that up is that Breath of the Wild is the opposite for me. I've played Breath of the Wild probably, oh god, I've probably played it 15 or 20 times longer than Ocarina of Time. I wanted to get Breath of the Wild regardless whether I'd like it or not. I bought it on launch day because it was basically the final Nintendo published Wii U game. It was like the last hurrah for the system. I was a Wii U owner since right from the very beginning. Loved the console, and I was sad to see it go. So I was going to buy Breath of the Wild regardless, but just right from the very beginning, I got sucked into the game. It kind of took me back to the classic Zeldas, the NES games, where you're just dropped into a world and you're just free to go and do what you want. There wasn't really a ton of exposition or hand-holding in the beginning. It was just like, here's the world, go do what you will with it, you know. And it was just fun to play. The combat was a lot of fun to me. Climbing on stuff was just a ton of fun. The graphics were beautiful. They still are beautiful, even on the Wii U version. There's just so much gameplay flexibility and variety. I just got absorbed into it. Now, so for me, I can't say Ocarina will always be better than Breath of the Wild, because I have very, very fond memories of Breath of the Wild, unlike Ocarina. But it's not really a fair topic for someone like me to talk about, because I just haven't put that time into Ocarina. I know I will eventually. It just depends on when. And will I stream it here? I don't know. There have been some things that have been happening lately, where I don't even know if I'd stream it here on YouTube. But I do want to play it. You know, maybe I'll do it sooner rather than later on my own time. I don't know. And maybe I'll really enjoy it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll still prefer something like Breath of the Wild. But you know, I am looking forward to it, actually, now that I think about it. I do want to play Ocarina. Just, so many games, so little time. Alright, so the next set of questions comes from Retro Kevin, who asks, what were some of the low points in your streaming/video production time, and how did you overcome them? This is a tough one, honestly, because I've had a lot of highs and lows, and you know what? I think a lot of those have just been kind of all in my head mentally. YouTube's been a very mentally draining ride over the last, 12 years or so. I'm a very self-conscious individual. I'm also very self-critical, and I'm very judgmental of not just others but myself. And I'm if I don't get or have like a positive feedback loop from an external source in relation to YouTube, I start to get depressed. I think, am I doing something wrong? And then I think, am I doing something wrong with my life? I've spent a lot of time on this channel, this project, so to say, and what have I gotten out of it? And when I think about what I've gotten out of it, I can't think of anything. And then that's just a, negative feedback loop, and I just kind of spiral downhill. And I've been in that position so many times over these years that it all just sort of blends together. I'll have this downward spiral of, mental processes, and then maybe I'll have a boost in subscribers, or I'll post a new video and I'll get a slew of new, fresh comments that are positive. And then I'll be feeling good, like, oh, I'm doing something right with my time now. I'm doing okay. Things are okay. And then I go a week without the positive feedback loop, and then it's just right back to the, oh God, what am I doing? This is bad. But I don't know what, I don't do anything else with my life, so I'm just gonna keep pushing on, even though I'm in this depressive like feedback loop, which is just not healthy. It's not healthy at all. And honestly, that's been the worst these last few years for me. As my channel's grown bigger, it's like that negative feedback loop has almost gotten worse. And so I'd say, like, what are some of the low points? All I'm gonna say is my lowest point has just been lately, and I think it's been rubbing off a lot in the live streams in particular, where, and this has been brought to my attention by multiple individuals, and I it's hard for me to hear this stuff, but they're right, and I've got a lot of negative feelings and emotions and resentment and guilt and whatever just like pent up inside of me, and it just all like comes out on my live streams. I don't treat people with respect and the dignity that they deserve, and I don't feel good in the process either. It might seem the way I'm acting is logical to some people and even myself, but in reality it's just I'm being a bad, mean person and I don't even realize it. And it just perpetuates this negative feedback loop I was just talking about 2 minutes ago. And so how have I overcome this stuff? Well, I haven't, but I hope to eventually overcome, you know, this sort of slump I'm in by maybe just like pulling back a little bit and taking a break from streams and things like that and just not even thinking about it. YouTube for me these last several years, ever since I started taking money on places like Patreon and then eventually YouTube channel memberships opened up, I felt 100% obligated to deliver on my content. And I think that's an admirable thing. It's like, listen, people give me money, but I don't slouch on it, or at least I used to not slouch on it. Where, like, you know, oh, if I said I'm gonna have a video up Saturday, you better be damned well sure that I'm gonna have a video up on Saturday. It's like I stay true to my word, you know. If I say I'm gonna stream every week on Thursdays at 9 p.m., you can bet your ass I'm gonna be there. And of the 300 plus streams I've done on YouTube these last, you know, 3 to 4 years, I've missed maybe like 3 or 4 or something like that. It's been a very, very small amount, and I've just been there. I've been dedicated and I've been consistent. And if I wasn't taking money, maybe I would be less consistent because I wouldn't feel as obligated. But what I don't really realize is that, like, I'm forcing myself to work on something that's not, it's not, you know, putting food on my table. It's not paying my bills completely. It's not, you know, it's not that kind of thing. I at one point in time, I really wanted it to be that kind of thing, but my channel just hasn't grown the way like I have wanted it to. And so there's a point where you do something like this for so long, you have to take a step back and really think about what you're doing. And you know, so that's kind of where I am right now. I'm gonna take a step back, really think about what I'm doing, and maybe I'll go back to streaming on a semi-regular basis. Maybe I won't stream again for a long time on YouTube anyway. But you know, some friends recently in particular noted that, like, hey, listen, you got to watch out for your mental health, otherwise it's just not going to result in good things. And you know, I believe them. And for me, it's like a lot of times it takes someone else telling me this to really it takes someone like I care about a lot for me to really try to take action. One of the things I really don't like streaming, or like about streaming, and even YouTube in general, is like I don't, you know, despite some really positive feedback and whatnot, a lot of times I don't even feel like I'm connecting with people even when I get the positive feedback, because like in reality I don't know most of you guys out there that are listening. I'm glad you enjoy what I do, but you know, this is, I guess, what they call a parasocial relationship, where you have your ideas about what I'm like and that's it. We don't really know each other, you know, and we're not really there for each other either. Like if I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to be calling you saying, please help me, because I don't know you. We have friendly relationships in the live streams, and you know, that's enjoyable, but it's also not, I don't know how to explain this. It's kind of a weird topic in and of itself, but I guess I'm not really fulfilled with a lot of my interactions here on the internet. It's nice and it's good and it's great if I'm having a positive effect on others' lives out there. But I'm not getting that same sort of fulfillment myself, and you know, that's just an unhealthy place to be in. You know, you're putting in all this time and effort, and you're not really getting what you hoped out of it. And you know, even if you have a really good stream, at the end of the day you still feel kind of empty inside, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. How will I overcome it? Again, I'll try to take a step back from the streaming in particular. I still want to do my Let's Plays and stuff, but I also want to just do them at my own pace, you know? I don't want to force myself to do them because I'm on a schedule. I have to have one out every other Saturday or something like that, which I did for a very long time. And what my weekends became when I was on that schedule was just when I had days off from work, all I was doing was practicing for my videos, and that's not a very satisfying existence. As much as I love playing video games, and video games are absolutely my favorite thing to do by myself, at least, it's not a healthy existence, you know? It's not a satisfying existence, so... But yeah, I've had other low points, but I mean, generally, I've always been kind of like a depressed person anyway, whether I show it or not online. And, you know, my whole life has kind of been like this series of constant ups and downs, emotionally, mentally speaking. Maybe by taking a step back from some of this stuff, reevaluating what I want to do with it, or even just take a break and not even think about it, not stress over it. I've always done. I've always stressed over it. Trying to learn how to not stress over it. Maybe I'll find some sort of like passion in it again, and motivation and drive to, you know, keep doing it while still managing to be a nice person, which apparently I haven't been much of these last few years. So. But yeah, Retro Kevin also asks another question. He says, who would you like to have a guest spot on a stream or a video? Whose stream or video would you like to guest spot on? Honestly, I don't know. I feel kind of uncomfortable name dropping channels like this. I have channels like I would absolutely love to guest on again in particular, but I mean, really any channel out there that needs some kind of basic voice talent for video game related stuff, I think it would be fun to work with. You know, I do enjoy doing that, and I do like you know, trying to develop a skill that might be useful in other aspects of life. So I actually have had you know, I do have a couple things lined up with one particular individual, and he also reached out to me about even potentially trying to do like real world voice work, which was super generous. But with my 2 jobs at the moment and my YouTube stuff, I had to decline respectfully, but it's something I would like to revisit in the future. So, you know, stuff like that would be really cool to me, honestly. So, but yeah, I'm not going to name drop specific channels, but, you know, there's definitely, I would love to lend my voice in particular to, you know, some channels out there. Or maybe even gameplay talents, you know, maybe someone, you know, wants me to help out and talk about, like, I don't know, gameplay strategies on a live stream or something like that. That could be neat. Or show off my pinball prowess or whatever. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, thanks for your questions, Kevin. Appreciated, man. All right, so these last few questions come from Solid Nate, and Solid Nate's first question is, what are some other interests, hobbies / passions you have besides video games and pinball? Honestly, at this moment in time, I can't really think of one. That's not true. I love building computers. I have several systems in my apartment that I don't really need, and I have them just because I like building them. And you know, there was a computer system I built that ended up getting used in the living room. It's out in the living room now, so I can watch YouTube and Twitch and whatever out on my big screen TV. I built that just because I hadn't built a computer in a little while, and I really wanted to. So I went out to Micro Center. I dropped hundreds of dollars in parts. Bought a new case, power supply. I had some other leftover parts like a motherboard and CPU and whatnot, and I just built this computer, and it turned out really nice. It looks really awesome. Yeah, so I would say that's definitely a passion of mine. I do enjoy watching movies, but I wouldn't say like I'm super passionate about it or anything like that. I wouldn't consider it a hobby. It's just kind of something I do here and there. I used to really be heavy into music. I mean, I still listen to a lot of music. I have, you know, Amazon Music. I've got a big digital library. I have still a CD collection of probably at least 500 discs. not counting a lot of my CD physical games that also double as music CDs, like some old Sega CD stuff or PC games or whatnot. And I used to do DJing. I was kind of a hobbyist DJ for about 5 years, and then YouTube and pinball kind of took over my life and pushed that hobby out the window for me. I did learn how to make electronic music. I did that for a few years, and some of the music actually you've heard in some of my recent videos, like my dual play of Street Fighter 2 and my my Let's Plays, the intro and outro music, that all comes from stuff I made like 10 years ago. The stuff I never finished. I've always wanted to go back and finish it, so and it's something I've been considering doing heavily recently, is trying to go back to a lot of that stuff, get more back into like the music end, not necessarily DJing, because that was, for me, I feel like that was a phase. As much as I enjoyed it, I feel like that part was a phase, but the actual music creation part was a lot of fun, and I would like to go back and maybe try to finish my tracks and make some new stuff. It would be really cool. I've even thought about trying to pick up a guitar and a bass again for that purpose, you know, and to give me something else to do. You know, music is something that kind of runs in my family. My dad was a musician for his entire life. My brother is now a musician. My dad was also a bit of a sound engineer, that sort of thing. So I kind of have sort of a knack for it, I think, just because of that. Like, again, I grew up around it, and so it's just kind of, it feels natural for me. Even though it's not what I do, it's, you know, it is something I can learn and get into and enjoy, I think, just because I've always been around it. So, but yeah, I could see that being, you know, another hobby / passion besides video games and pinball. So, that said, I don't really have anything else. I don't read a lot of books these days. I don't do a lot of drawing, although those are things I used to do a lot when I was growing up. Maybe there are things I could see myself getting back into. Just right now, time is my biggest limitation, and self-restraint. As I said, I'm go, stress with YouTube. So maybe when I pull back on that a little bit, maybe that'll open up some time for things like reading, and maybe even getting actually artistic again off a computer. Maybe I'll pick up drawing or something, you know, it could be fun. So, maybe some photography. I like that could be kind of cool too. My dad got into that, and it seems kind of fun. I don't know. I've got ideas, but yeah, right now it's mostly video games and pinball, and then maybe some more music stuff. So yeah. So Silent Nate's second question is, where would you like to move if you had to, and why? Honestly, I don't know, man. This is kind of a tough one. Like, if I was gonna move somewhere else, I think I'd have to have a really good reason. Like, there'd have to be someone there for me, that I would be moving for me to really consider that. Or things in my area would have to get so dire that I just need a change, you know? And one reason I don't live somewhere else right now is that I've lived in this area my entire life. I'm 39 as of last month, and I grew up in this area. I've lived here every single year of my life. I was in Alexandria, Virginia for the first 4 years of my life. It's where I was born. And then for the other 35, I've lived in Chantilly, Virginia, or Fairfax. And I've never left. I've never even been off the East Coast. I've traveled up and down it a few times, but I've never been off the East Coast. And just the idea of getting up and moving somewhere else is kind of scary to me. So again, I would need a really good reason. Maybe I've got friends out in a certain area, or maybe I've met a significant other that I find a lot of value in, and I'd be willing to get up and just leave to go be with them, whether it's in another country or not. You know, if I have that companionship, I would absolutely consider doing it for sure. Or maybe like I've got a career that requires me to move somewhere else, and it's a really good job, and it's nice people I work with, it's a good organization. Again, maybe I'd consider it. But yeah, I mean, as far as where I would want to go, I have no idea, honestly. I mean, I've heard Seattle's pretty nice. I hear their weather is really good, like year round. So if I had to take a pick just for shits and giggles, like maybe I'd go to Washington State. I mean, I actually have relatives out there, so I've, and I have friends out there as well. Maybe something like that would be doable, but I don't know. Again, if I don't have a reason to go, I don't even know. Yeah, if I don't have a reason to go, it's like, even considering it's just kind of weird to me, because I've been here where I'm recording this my entire life, literally. But I'm not against the idea. I'm just I'd have to have a really good reason, and those reasons I stated would probably be my top ones for going somewhere else. But right now, I'll probably end up staying put. So the last question is, if you could have lunch with 3 separate people, past, present, or even future, who would you choose and why? Oh man, well, this also comes from Solid Nate. I mean, I'm gonna obviously have to go with the answer that's, well, anyone I'm having a really nice relationship right now with online, and I like very much. I would love to go have lunch with them. Obviously, I mean, that's kind of a given, right? But I don't know, when I really think about this, it's like, there are people I've known in my life that I just can't know anymore because they passed away. And my best friend growing up, I'm gonna just call him Chris. That was his first name. I won't say his last name. And I know tons of Chris's, but I remember after high school, we, like a lot of people do, we just kind of forgot about each other in a way. We just stopped hanging out. We all went our separate ways. But then in like the dawn of like MySpace and early Facebook days, as a lot of people were, we were kind of like rekindling like old friendships. And especially those ones where, like, these are people that are extremely close to you for a huge chunk of your life growing up. Like, I met him when I was probably in like 1st or 2nd grade, and we were basically best friends all the way up into like our high school years. He had to move away, so it became much harder to, manage that friendship as happens. I'm sure a lot of you guys listening have had your friends move away, really great friends when you're younger move away, and then that was it, Even though they were your best friends, it's, you might have been able to stay in touch a little bit via like, letter or something like that, or the occasional phone call, but, lives move on and carry on, and, you just naturally grow apart, which sucks. But we had rekindled our friendship via social media, and it's just definitely one of those things where like we probably would have eventually ended up like catching up, having a beer or something, and it would have been awesome. But I got news one day that he died, and it sounds to me like some kind of drug overdose, but no one knew. It's a very complex situation I'm not going to go into, but it was hard. Like, it was one of the few times I remember in my 20s where, like, I got the news of something like that, and I couldn't handle it. I just bawled like a baby, And it was one of the first times in my life where I had to deal with someone close to me, past or present, have something like that happen to them. And so it was definitely a big shock in my life. And for me, it's like, man, if this person was still around, or if I could have lunch with this person for a day, I'd just love to be able to ask him, like, why this happened. Why did it go like this? Like, I don't know. It's hard to think about, and it's hard to talk about. I'm not very good talking about things like these. But yeah, I mean, there's other people in my life. There's a couple other people that have passed away as well that I had a friend pass away a couple years ago, and I didn't even know until a few months back. I found out via a Facebook profile that she had, overdosed on drugs. She's another person that, like, I would have loved to be able to like, or I would love to be able to have lunch with her now and just be like, oh, come on, why? What happened? What was, I don't know. I would just like to be able to catch up with these people again. I guess that's all. The whys or why nots, you know, regardless, it would be nice to be able to see these people again. So, I mean, I don't really have anything else kind of funny to talk about with this topic. It's kind of, you know, when I saw this question from Nate, I was like, man, this is a good one, because I would pick all these people that are gone and it would be super depressing. I should be laughing, but that's how I think. I'm like, you know, I could go have lunch with Obama right now, or, you know, go have lunch with someone famous or something, but it's like, you know, I'd rather just have the opportunity to talk with people that I used to be close with, you know. I mean, I guess I could technically, you know, drop in some old friends that are still alive, but we just kind of grew apart, you know. Maybe some of those people I'd like to have lunch with, maybe rekindle our friendships and whatever. So, but yeah, I do know one or two people in my current life that I am talking to on a regular basis that I would also love to have lunch with. Well, yeah. Sorry to end this on a downer, guys, but that's my Q&A session. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I do appreciate you guys sticking around and watching, if you guys are still there listening. If you guys want to see this become a more regular thing, let me know. It is kind of hard getting questions. It's like, I was originally just going to cancel this whole idea. And then I posted something on my Discord being like, man, it's like pulling teeth doing this. And then I got a whole slew of questions. So thank you guys for that. This is supposed to be a fun perk, but if it's like pulling teeth, it's hard for it to be a fun perk. Because it's just hard to do them without topics to talk about or questions. I mean, it is one of those things where I could just do like a podcast style video myself, come up with my own topics to talk about, but that defeats the purpose of like it being a, you know, backer perk, you know. So it's no longer a backer perk if I'm coming up with everything and, you know, just putting out a video like it's normal, right? So but yeah, thanks to everyone that did submit questions. I do appreciate it. So Signal RF, Crestlineiceberg, Megasus, Andy Author 2007, Adam Pearson, Retro Kevin, and of course Solid Nate. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate it. It's been fun. This will remain a early access video for like a week or two, and then it'll go public on YouTube. So to everyone out there, whether you're an early access backer or not, feel free to post some comments down below if you have opinions on any of these topics. If you have answers to these questions yourself, please, you know, post them down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. It'd be kind of interesting, especially some of these more depressing ones. Or maybe you can make them not depressing. Maybe that's what I should have you guys do. Just write something not depressing down in the chat. But alrighty, guys, that's gonna do it for me. So thanks again for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day or night wherever you are in the world, and until the next one, take it easy.